ערב טוב, 10:30, אנחנו מתחילים בשידור, עדיין ממתינים למרטינה שתעלה תכף על הקו בלונדון. אז עד שתעלה לשידור ואיתה גם שני לרר, אני ככה אציג בכמה מילים מרטינה רודוק שתכף נראה אותה. היא נולדה באירלנד, במקום שנקרא גלווי, שהוא גם אזור מלא סכסוכים פוליטיים, ומילדות היא רצתה לחקור ולטייל בעולם. היא עברה לארצות הברית, למדה פסיכולוגיה, הכשירה את עצמה ועבדה כפסיכולוגית, אבל הרצון הפנימי שלה היה לחקור את המסתורים בעולם, ולחקור את עצמה ומי באמת, ועם השנים פגשה בבית הספר למסתורים, בית הספר המודרני למסתורים, למדה את כל המסלול, הפכה להיות מורה מאסטרית בעצמה, חזרה ללונדון והקימה את הבית ספר בלונדון, והיא בשבוע הבא מגיעה לארץ, אנחנו נראה אותה פה בארץ, ולרגל זה בחרתי לארח אותה כאן בתוכנית שלי שנקראת השראה מעשית, שאני קצת אספר לכם עליה. התחלתי לפני קצת יותר משנה לראיין אנשים, מורים רוחניים, מנטורים, אנשים שיש להם סיפורים מעוררי השראה מחד, אבל גם שיודעים ללמד ולתת לנו כלים כדי שכל אחד מאיתנו יוכל לעשות את העבודה שלו ואת ההתפתחות שלו. לכן גם קראתי לה השראה מעשית, כי אני חושבת שהשראה זה נהדר. אני חקרתי את הנושא הזה של שינויים בחיים במשך כמה שנים. שמי אורלי ברקימה, אגב, למי שלא מכיר, לא הצגתי את עצמי, ואני עיתונאית, אני מאמנת, אני מרצה ומנחה של סדנאות התפתחות והעצמה אישית. כתבתי בעקבות התחקיר שעשיתי במשך 3 שנים את הספר להיפתח לשינוי, שבו בעצם ראיינתי 50 נשים מכל רחבי הארץ שעשו שינויים בחיים שלהם, ובתוך הסיפורים מעוררי השראה שלהם, אני מצאתי את הכלים שאני קוראת להם מפתחות לשינוי ולצמיחה, שעזרו להם להתגבר על קשיים, על מכשולים, ובעצם להצליח בתהליך שלהם, למרות כל הפחד, למרות הנפילות בדרך. ולכלים האלה אני קראתי מפתחות, אני גיליתי 12 כאלה, ובעצם ריכזתי את כל התחקיר הזה בתוך ספר שנקרא להיפתח לשינוי, שמכיל גם את הסיפורים, גם את הכלים, וגם את המפתחות. אז בעודנו כאן מחכים למרטינה ולשני שיעלו לשידור, אני רוצה לספר לכם שאני בשנה האחרונה, עם כל זה שאני כבר 10 שנים בעולם ההתפתחות האישית, ובעצמי מורה ומלמדת, אני רואה את עצמי כמין בעצם תלמידה של החיים. וכתלמידה אני תמיד בוחרת ללמוד, כל הזמן לחשוף את עצמי לעוד שיטות, לעוד מורים, לעוד קורסים. הנה תכף שני מצטרפת אלינו. Hello, hi, good evening, can you see me?
Hello, hello.
Hi, how are you?
Hello.
Hi Martina, it's nice to meet you.
Very nice to meet you. Thank you for taking the time.
Wow, I have a lot of noise. So I don't know what, maybe your microphone or something, do something with it.
Going to try to do something about it?
Yeah, make it a little lower because I hear strong rings in my ears. So I was starting the talk, the show, as I call it, practical inspiration. telling a little bit about you, Martina.
Okay.
I will speak a little bit more in Hebrew, and then we will talk.
Okay.
Shani, we can't see you. Can you sit a little closer to
Of
Martina?
course. Can you see me now?
Just come a little closer so we can see the both of you.
I think I should be in the frame now. Can you see me?
Let me see. I'm putting you. No, I don't see you. אוקיי, אז אני מתנצלת, זה השידור הראשון שאני עושה בלייב בגוגל הנגאוטס, אז קצת סבלנות, ואני מקווה מאוד שאנחנו תכף נצליח להעלות אותם שוב, ולדבר איתם שוב. אז כמו שאמרתי, אני בתהליך שלי כבר 10 שנים, בתהליך השינוי, עזבתי את עולם העיתונות לפני 10 שנים, ויצאתי בעצם לסוג של חוסר ודאות, לסוג של ריק, שלתוכו נכנסו כל הדברים הנפלאים האלה שקרו לי ב10 השנים האחרונות, כמו להיכנס לכל התחום הזה של למידה והתפתחות אישית, ולעשות את התחקיר לספר ולפגוש אנשים, ובעיקר נשים מדהימות, וללמוד אימון, ולהיפתח לכל העולם הזה בכלל של התפתחות אישית. אבל אני מאמינה בלמידה, כמו שאמרתי, בלהשתכלל וללמוד עוד ועוד דברים. ולכן אני כל פעם דואגת להיכנס לאיזשהו סוג של לימוד חדש, כמו למשל הקורס בניסים שאני בשנתיים האחרונות נחשפתי אליו, ואני תלמידה שלו, כמו הרבה מאוד שיטות שונות וסדנאות שונות של התפתחות אישית, ובין היתר נחשפתי גם לתכנים של בית הספר המודרני למסתורין, על ידי חברתי היקרה, אישה מדהימה, שאני מקווה שתעלה תכף על השידור, נראה, אני אנסה. אני כותבת לה פה, בתקווה שהם אכן יצליחו לעלות, כי נראה לי שהם התנתקו. אני אנסה לשלוח לה עוד פעם הזמנה. אז סליחה על העיכובים, אבל אנחנו עושים כמיטב יכולתנו, כדי לתת לכם את השירות ואת הערך ואת הכלים. אני מאוד מאוד מקווה שנצליח להעלות אותם, מכיוון שחשוב לי מאוד, כמי שעוסקת בתחומים האלה, ורואה את עצמה כסוג של שליחה, כסוג של מסנג'ר לחומרים האלה, שלי יש נגישות אליהם, ואפשרות לעשות להוות איזשהו מון גשר, או מתווכת של האנשים ושל החומרים המדהימים האלה, שלי יוצא לפגוש בארץ. היי! אוקיי.
Hello, second take 2.
Yes, I'm putting you, maybe you can do, here, now I can see you. Great.
Oh, good. And can you hear us okay?
I can hear you loud and clear. I hope that you hear me also. You hear me well?
Yes.
We do.
Great. So I talked in Hebrew and talked a little bit about myself, about my story, and about this show, which I call Practical Inspiration. And as a person who is in the field of personal development and spiritualism for the last 10 years, I consider myself a student for all my life. And I think that the best way is to keep yourself in your development is by learning more and more and more, and getting all kinds of teachings from all kinds of people in the world. And one of the things that I met 2 or 3 years ago through my friend Shani Lehrer, who is the head of the Modern Mysteries School here in Israel. She opened it a few months ago, and she's bringing all this amazing material here to Israel. and doing us all great service here. And you are coming to Israel. I understand that you are one of the teachers, one of the leaders of the mystery school in Europe. So it's a great pleasure to have you and a great honor.
Thank you. Thank you.
So I would like you, Martina, I said a little bit about you that you were born in Ireland and then
Yes.
you went to the United States
Yes.
for 15 years and you studied psychology.
Yes.
But there was something inside you, as I understand, like an inner calling or something, a voice inside of you that brought you to the world of mystery and esoteric. So I would like, if you can share a little bit about it and tell us your story and what brought you to this materials.
Okay. So I was raised in a very traditional setting with a very traditional family, and they helped to program me. And one of the things they programmed was that I would have a permanent and a pensionable job. So I went to school and I studied and I did okay. And I did what my parents taught me, and I got a permanent and pensionable job. And I used to stand looking out the window, and it was very beautiful. It had a rolling green hills and a beautiful water. And I used to think, how many years is it going to be till I get this pension? And I thought, I can't do this because it's too boring. And I sent this thought out into the universe. I want to move. And I was thinking about moving from one side of the country to the other. But the universe always gives us what we ask, except we're not ready for what it is that we need sometimes.
Yeah.
And so my good friend from school wanted to go to the United States. And there was a lottery process. And if your card got picked out in the lottery, then you would get a visa. And she submitted my name with her name so that we could go to the US because we were young. And so I got this in the post. A big
How old were you then?
package. Well, I was probably 21 when I got this.
Okay.
And I got this package and I didn't know what to do with it because I didn't even have the desire to go to the US on a holiday. But I sat with it because I've always, believed in symbols and symbology. And I notice when something reoccurs and when something happens or when you see things multiple times, I think there's some message here for me because this doesn't happen every day. So I then went through the paperwork trail, which took, a good period of time. It took several months to complete. You had to do an interview, you had to have a medical, you had to get all this documentation. And so I did all of that and I decided to activate this visa because I thought I got this for a reason and there's a reason, but I can't tell you what that reason is. And so you can imagine my family were they were all convinced that I was, never going to leave. But I did. And I took off to the US, but I was programmed. So the first thing I did when I got there was I got a permanent and pensionable job. And I started to repeat the same cycle in my life because
it's the same patterns that you know.
Patterns, exactly. And so I discovered that I would be in that position for the rest of my life if I didn't do some type of education. So I enrolled myself in college and I studied psychology, except when I got to the last semester, I decided that's not what I wanted to do when I grew up. So I then enrolled in an additional program to work with seniors and the care of seniors because I always wanted to take care of people and to help people. And I liked that, but I was very clear I didn't want to be a nurse because everyone would say, well, maybe that's what you should do. And I used to think, no, that's not what I want to do. So I went ahead and I studied gerontology and I got another permanent and pensionable job. And now I very firmly believed that this was the job I was going to do for the rest of my life because it ticked off all the boxes that fulfilled it for me. But one thing happened after another, and I ended up, through one of my clients' family members, going to an event. And it was a women's empowerment program for a day. They were doing all types of different therapies and modalities and talks. And there was several authors there for women's empowerment. And I went to that. And there was a woman there doing life activation and emotional cord cutting from the mystery school.
Okay.
And I went, and she wanted me to have a cord cutting because I had had a big argument with my boyfriend as it happened. And I was too afraid to have the cord cutting because I thought the word magic is on that flyer. And if she does something and he disappears, I won't be able to explain this to people. So I was too afraid to do it. So I ended up bringing him with me, dragging this poor man with me, so that if she did something magic to me, that he'd be there to witness it, and I'd know what happened to him and he'd know what happened to me. So that was my level of awareness. And I had the life activation, and then I ended up doing Empower Thyself, and I never ever intended to do what I'm doing today. But what happened when I did these core mystery school programs is it started to take away and to help me to shed what I had learned in life that truly wasn't Martina. And it helped me to awaken within me who I really was. Because all in that part of my life, all I did was what everybody else wanted me to do. I didn't do because I didn't know what I wanted, and I didn't do what made me happy. I did what everybody else, so that they'd be happy. So
you talk about,
when I look back now at that part of my life, you know, I realized that, you know, as a young girl, I was quite disempowered. And I grew up in a family that was very psychic. And I was very psychic. And when I lived in the US and in the first, you know, several years of my life there, I could hear what people were thinking. And they'd be saying something, but I'd hear and I'd sense them. So I was really confused because I didn't know who to trust. And I didn't know what was real and what wasn't real, because I would sense one thing and then they would say another thing. But when I did Empower Thyself, I was given tools that would help me, that could clear my energy and that empowered me. And I started to realize, you know, that I had to be happy. And that happiness was within me, not in the people around me, because I fell into that trap of trying to make everybody else happy. And so it deprogrammed me, if you will, and it helped me to find the real me, the true me, so that I could evolve that part of me. And
I want to ask you, you mentioned life activation, you mentioned Empower Thyself, and I want to hear more about it. But since we are practical, I want to use what you said to enlighten the tool that I think that is in your words. I call it as a key, accepting the unknown.
Absolutely.
When you are in a transition, when you want to make a change in your life, what I found out myself in my own experience, and then when I discovered it in the lives and changes that 100 or more people did, that they decided that they can, you know, change their life by taking time off from what they know and agreeing to being in the unknown for a while. In order for new things to come, we have to cut, as you say, cut the cords from what we know, because if we are in what we know all the time, there is no real change. We all the time come back to our own patterns.
Yeah, well, we think we know, but we actually don't know. Because when we start to hold on to something, like we know this is the only way, or this is all I can do, or this is the way I have to do it, then we go into limiting ourselves. So we have to let go and go out with that empty, like we call it in our tradition, emptying our cup. So we have to empty our cup every day, because when I go out in the morning and I'm empty, then I'm ready to receive. I'm open to receive. And then I can allow the things that, you know, into my life. But when I go out with a full cup, then there's no room for me to learn, because I'm closing myself off. And life is a journey about having many, many experiences. And we need to have those experiences. And we need to have many experiences, because that's the excitement of life. You know, but if I only eat vanilla ice cream, I'll never know how good chocolate ice cream is if I say this is the only one.
But being a little more practical, you know, it's really scary to go into the unknown and to agree to accept this unknown and not to know what you're going to earn the next month, or what you're going to do and who you're going to be with and what ideas you're going to meet. So how did you overcome your natural fears, I think, that everybody has, of the unknown, of being in uncertainty?
Yes. How, you know, I don't know how I learned it. I suppose one of the biggest times for me was when I woke up one morning and I realized, you know, I really want to use these tools. And I was doing activations for people, but I was still working my permanent and pensionable job. And I woke up one morning and I realized, you know what, I have to give notice, because, you know, I can do more, I can help more people, and I can do more work in the world than standing here doing this paper trail that's only counting time. It's not having an influence in the world. And that day when I handed that letter in to resign from my job was probably one of the scariest days of my life. But it was also one of the most freeing days in my life. And I had, you know, this great joy inside of me. And everybody else looked like I had died. You know, some of my colleagues looked like, you know, they were going to go buy flowers for me, because they were like, they thought, you know, I had made some terrible decision in my life. But inside, in my heart, I felt it was right. And thankfully, I've never looked back. But I did, you know, I didn't sleep well that night, I have to be honest, because my mind got involved. And I started with all the what ifs. But then, you know, I moved past that. But it's something you experience. It's not something you can, you know, it's not a natural state. And it's not something you can learn how to do. It's kind of, you have to jump. And hope that when you're going to put your foot out, you put it out and you land on the stone that's going to create and build, and that you don't fall and cut yourself. But in that risk, there's an excitement.
There is, I think, an element of trust in this move.
You have to tap into that divine flow and that divine trust, and have that faith that you know you are making the right decision for you, and that you will be supported. And of course, action is needed. You can't sit there meditating and thinking all things are going to come to you. You have to take action for it to happen. But it's not something you learn. It's something you do. You
learn by experiencing.
You do it, actually. And then you learn from that.
So you mentioned empower thyself, and you mentioned like the life activation. If you can, before we talk about these specific tools, can tell me a little bit about the mystery school and its lineage, and what is the work that you do in the world in general?
Absolutely. Well, we are part of the Modern Mystery School, which is currently open to the public. And our purpose in our school is to bring about unification, to bring about peace for humanity. You know, we are in an era in society where there's many names for it, but we refer to it as like a tipping point, a point where we truly have everything in the world to accomplish a great society for all. But we still have imbalance. We still have some people who have extreme wealth, and some people who have extreme poverty. And energetically, we are shifting and we're changing. And in my words, I use it, the veil is dropping. Everything is getting thinner. You know, what we can sense today, and the children that we see today in society, they're super sensitive, they're super psychic. If we look back 20 years ago, we had a different level of consciousness in society.
Right.
And when we look around the world today, we see that. We see that people are standing up and they're expressing themselves, and they're not taking the conventional and the traditional systems the same way. And society, we need to change slightly. We need to move into a better system for everybody, not just for those who, we need to bring balance. We need to bring balance to it.
So how do you do it through the mystery school in the world?
So, well, we're open to the public to bring awareness and to remind everybody that everything is within you. Because in society, a lot of times we're always looking outside of ourselves. We're always looking for someone else to do it. We're always looking for that thing that we need, and we get marketed that way. We get things get promoted that way. We're told, you know, oh, when you graduate, you're going to have this, and when you get married, and when you have that. So it's all a carrot that's in front of you. And in our tradition, we don't actually have any teachers. We have reminders. And our tools and our system is designed for you to remember who you are and what you are, and to access that power within you, because we're all complete by ourselves. And the more empowered and awakened we become, then the more aware and the better choices we make, and we help others to awaken as well. Because if I change, the people I live with change. And then there's a domino effect. So we bring a greater awareness, and we bring, you know, back the power to you, not outside of you.
So what made you choose? You said that you were exposed to all kinds of workshops and development work. Absolutely. In the spiritual world. What made you choose the tools of the Modern Mystery School and being a part of it? And what is the uniqueness of these tools and of the Modern Mystery School, comparing to what other things that you learn?
Yeah, I did a few things, and what I realized was that it could only get me so far, and I was still searching for something else, even though I didn't know what I was searching for. And when I met the Mystery School and I went to Empower Thyself, it gave me everything. And once I did it, it worked. And when I didn't do it, it didn't work. But when I did it, it worked. And so I got very curious about it, because I thought, you know, when I'm doing this, it works. So it has something. There's something in it that works for me. So I want to try something else. And I went to Healers Academy hoping that I would get half as much out of it as I did Empower Thyself. Because when I did Empower Thyself, the tools that I got handed down started to, you know, it was like, it gave me strength to be more of who I was. And it gave me, it like woke up that essence, that power inside of me. And people started seeing the difference. I could sense it, but then people started seeing it in me. And that's when I realized there's something in this, and I can't really explain it, but it's working. So I'm going to try more of it. That's how it was for me.
So let's talk about the Empower Thyself, since we've touched it a few times in this conversation. What exactly? I know it's 2 days, because I've learned it and I've experienced it, and I also use the tools since I was
excellent.
there. Yes. Yeah. So tell me, from your perspective, what can you say about Empower Thyself for people who don't know what it is, and it sounds to them, you know, like a magic stuff or too mystery for me? Can you explain it in your words?
Sure. Well, in Empower Thyself, what we do is we share with you mystery school concepts, and we help you to remember your, we're here today, and the only thing that we're guaranteed, that we're assured of, is that we're physical, because we can touch this part of us.
Yes.
But the spirit part of me and my soul body, I have, when I was born, I forgot about them. It's like I have, amnesia. I can't remember. And those parts are the greater parts of me, because my spirit is eternal. I've never been born, and I can never die. And while I'm in this physical body, my spirit is having its evolutionary journey, but my body isn't going to go forward. It's going to stay here. But I've been raised to believe that if my body doesn't look perfect, and it isn't perfect, then I'm not perfect. And that's not true, because the essence of me is much greater than my physical body. So in Empower Thyself, we give you teachings that remind you of the opportunity you have in this lifetime to experience as a spirit. And we remind you that, we take everything so serious in the physical, but it's like being on a holiday. You come and you try all the desserts, and you have the opportunity to experience. And we get so serious about being right. We have to be right. But life isn't meant to be that way. It's meant to be, give it a try. And if you like it, do it again. And if you don't like it, move on and try something else. But today in society, it's like you have to keep doing it till you get yourself to like it. And that essence of me, that spiritual part of me, it's about try it. If you like it, do it again. If not, continue on. Because in the mystery school, we want to know thyself. We want to know who I am. Who am I?
Like in the Bible, it's what we are taught, that we are. Who are we really? Are we this body? Are we our jobs? Are we our titles as a mother? Are we all these things that we know, that we can touch, that we can feel, that we can see with our senses? Or is there something more?
Absolutely, absolutely. And it's like that, sometimes when people invite me to events, they say, can you just say you don't work? Because the minute you start talking about that spiritual stuff, people get afraid. And it's like, but you're spiritual too. You just don't realize it in this moment, but it's okay. So we get very attached to, what we drive, where we live, where we come from, where we go on our holidays, but that's not life. That's just experiences of life.
So tell me, if we're spirits, let's get a little deeper and maybe higher. If we are spirits, like you say, we are, but for the sake of this conversation, I will be, I will be someone who is skeptical.
Absolutely.
Okay. So if I am spirit and I came here into this body for some reason, and I'm suffering here, people are suffering, people are hungry, people are aching, people have diseases, it's not like you say all chocolate ice cream, and people are suffering here. So what is the purpose of this game? Why we need to be in this physical form? Why can't we be spirits and, be happily ever after?
Well, we were spirits. And then we got this mad notion that we wanted to become individual spirits. And in that individual spirit, they needed us to give us something to contain it. So they gave us these beautiful bodies. And the spirit, if you will, jumped into this physical body so that we could transport it around. Now, when we come into this physicality, we live in a world of duality. And in duality, we have positive and negative. And we resist or we receive light. And when we resist light, then, we have emotions. And when we put that, it's like a cocktail when you go to the bar. When we put that all together, when we get emotional, when we're attached to something, when we're right about something and we're trying to prove something, and the emotion comes in, then we open the doorway for disease. So this is, in our tradition, one reason, one thing we know is that if I have a physical anything, disease that we can get a doctor to diagnose, then I have an emotion attached to that.
Okay.
So if we can experience and let go of those emotions, we can have a lot more of an experience in our life. But unfortunately, the human mind and the human physicalness wants us to be whatever, and we resist that light.
So it's like a game of spirits that come and says, okay, let's suffer a little, let's learn until we remember who.
We choose to. We don't have to, We look at our own lives, and I look back on my life and I have to make a decision about something, and that's where I get really uncomfortable. And then when I make the decision, then it's like it frees up all of that energy that I've been kind of hovering with. And that's what caused me to to maybe feel a little depleted, to feel a little tired, to feel a little irritable. But once I make that decision, then it lightens everything up again. So we come in and we have choice. And of course, there's many factors that influence that. It's not just one thing.
So how can we, back into Empower Thyself, how can you help yourself remember who you really are, that you are really spirit and you are light, and you came here to bring more light to this world and do good?
Yeah, absolutely.
How can we remember this stuff? What are the...
Well, one of the things that happens when you do Empower Thyself is we put your energy structure back in a clockwise direction. So your flow of energy shifts, and that's enormous by itself. And then the other thing we do in Empower Thyself is we give you tools. And when you receive that tool, it starts to declutter your mind. And it starts to help you to let go, because sometimes, we can be remembering things that happened 10 or 15 years ago. And even though those people are no longer in our lives, we're holding that in our life. And so we have tools that will help to let that go and to deprogram. That's my word. It mightn't be the best word, but it's my word. Because we need to stay more in the now than in the past or in the fear of the future. So that will help us to stay present. And in that, we can allow the light to flow through us. Because if I'm here and I'm worried about what's going to happen next week when I come to Israel, am I going to have the right room? Am I going to bring the right clothes? Am I going to take the right bus? Am I going to come out and meet the right? Then I'm not present today. I'm not here in the present today. And I'm creating chaos in the future. But my mind has been programmed to worry about the unknown. So Empower Thyself, some of the tools we hand down helps you to stay very present in the future. And for me, that was a great gift, because things would happen in my life and I used to spend hours and hours and hours going over what happened. What if I had said this? What if I had done this? Da, da, da. And then I stopped doing that. And people that knew me were like, what drugs are you taking? Because, the old you would be rehearsing the story so many times.
Yeah, all the should and could and would and could and should.
Yes. And my girlfriend's husband in the US, he used to highlight our telephone bill of how long we'd be on the phone. And he used to do it every month for her. And he used to say, I don't understand why you don't go to each other's house, because this is costing me a fortune. And after I did Empower Thyself, he used to say, how come you don't talk? Why don't you talk? You don't talk anymore. Have you had an argument? Because I didn't have to do that anymore. It just naturally stopped.
Okay, let's talk about the other tool that you mentioned, that is the life activation. So tell me a little bit more about what is the life activation, what one can expect after having life activation, what is happening to you, what is changing in your life?
Well, the life activation is done with a crystal that we use to go into the receptor points, and we have 12 receptor points in the human structure. And what we do is it's like a fuse box, and we turn them on. And when we turn them on, then sometimes people have 3, 4, 6 of them lit up naturally. And what we do is we go in, and with the use of the crystal, we turn on these receptor points. And in this structure, there is physical and spiritual receptors. So we turn on the physical and the spiritual. So what happens is, the first thing it does is it plugs you back into physicality, because sometimes when we're spiritual, we don't like to stay in the physical body. So we kind of hang out from our head up, and we don't bring all of our energy down to our feet. We don't stay grounded in physicality. So it brings you back, and it plugs you back into physicality, so that you will give and allow yourself to be present in the physical. And then what happens is it helps when you bring the light in to the receptor points, your DNA starts to rejuvenate. And as that happens, it starts to awaken the cells in your body. So you start to shed anything that's there that's not you. So for example, if you're somebody who smokes cigarettes, it's not in your DNA to smoke. So you'll start to find that you'll naturally want to let this go from your life. You won't want to put into your physical body anything that's not naturally part of your DNA. And it'll also help to open up your natural gifts, because each of us have come in physically with natural gifts, and some can have 1, 2, 3, 4, and it'll help us to open those up, because each of us has a piece of the key for the progression of humanity, and we need to fulfill that. That's part of our journey of life. We want to leave our mark, we want to leave our essence, we want to leave our legacy, and it will help to awaken that, so that we can do our special in this world and leave our legacy.
So, quick answers. Who are we really?
We're eternal beings on a journey, and this is just one little stop on the journey of eternity.
And where did we come from?
We've come from eternity. We've always been, we'll always be.
And what is our purpose in life?
Well, each of us has a unique piece in this. It's like if you had a puzzle, like a jigsaw puzzle, and it was up on the wall, and we all have a piece, and we've come to put that piece into this physical dimension. So each of us has a separate purpose that we're going to fulfill in physicality.
And in order for humanity in this phase, where there's really, really lots of suffering in the world and lots of violence, you also come, here in Israel especially,
yes,
around Jerusalem and the holy places and all the cultures in this area. It's a tough neighborhood. You were born in a tough neighborhood yourself. So do you think that this work that you do of bringing light can specifically do good in this area, can help, be a little more soft, a little more community than it is now?
Absolutely, because we are all one, and the difference that we see in each other is what's within us. So the more that we can work on ourselves, heal ourselves, know ourselves, the less that will bother us externally.
מה שנקרא, amen to that. So what other courses are you gonna teach here in Israel? Tell us a little bit more. I heard there's something about the Raphael healing.
Yes, we're going to do Raphael Healing Temple, which is very beautiful because we bring in the office of Raphael, and I'm excited to do it because there's 3 parts to it. First, we give you the opportunity to bring, whatever healing you want about in your life. And then secondly, we give you the opportunity in the temple itself for you to send healing light to somebody you know. And then all together as a community, whoever is present, we will send light to a place that we want to have healing light flow to. Because when we send healing light to a region, to a place, then we send that beautiful light of possibility for people to receive. And then we open the avenue for them to have that light in their life and to move forward without having separation, because we need to unify, not separate. And that unification has to happen within each of us. And we can send light to trigger that to happen as a group.
So what are you actually saying? That our job here is, first of all, to heal ourselves and to know ourselves and to know our purpose in life and to do our purpose in life, to be our purpose in life.
Yes. And this, people don't like that when you say, people will come for whatever to me and they'll say, oh no, I don't need to do a healing session, but I'd like my mother to do it, or I'd like my husband to do it. And generally when I was like that too. I mean, I didn't want to have a healing session because I thought I was perfect and I thought my poor mother-in-law should go have the healing. But I discovered that all she did was held a mirror up for me to see. And every time I introduced her to somebody, everybody loved her. And the conflict was within me. It had nothing to do with her at all.
I want to talk a little bit, a few words with Shani.
Sure.
Which is the guide here in Israel, who is bringing you here. Is it your first time, Martina?
Yes, and I'm very excited. It's a place I've always wanted to visit. And so when I was invited, I felt so honored and so privileged to have this opportunity to come to such a beautiful part of the world and such a significant part of the world.
Yeah, you're gonna have lots of fun here. I promise.
I'm excited.
What an honor and a privilege it is for us to have you.
I want to talk to Shani in the few minutes that we have left. And Shani is the head of the school here in Israel. She opened the school in Israel, and she's brought Rita the last few times, and now she's bringing you. And I want to hear from you, Shani. Maybe you can do it in Hebrew for the Israeli audience, and tell a little bit what's going to happen here it's next week, actually, starting.
Yes, it's next week. It's next week. What day is today? I'm confused. We're doing in Paradise F in London just now.
Okay.
So time becomes very interesting as a concept. So Martina is arriving on next Friday. We have our first course. We're doing the Healing Temple. Yes, that is very, very soon.
Okay, so you want to say a few words in Hebrew about the teachings that are going to be here in Israel and invite people to come?
בטח. אז קודם כל תודה, אורלי. איזה כיף להיות איתך כאן. ובטח, אז מה שקורה זה קודם כל יש לנו תוכנית קצרה ומאוד קדושה עם אישה ומורה שאין לי מילים להתחיל לתאר את העומקים. אני כאן עכשיו מלמדת איתה בלונדון, ואני רוצה להגיד לכם שזה פשוט חוויה ומתנה עצומה. אז בעצם זה שהיא באה אלינו זה וואו, ואני רק יכולה להגיד, בואו, זו הזדמנות פז. יש לנו ביום שישי ב-19 את מקדש ריפוי של המערך רפאל, שזה מה שהיא קצת סיפרה עכשיו. זה בעצם מקום שבו אנחנו באים, ממש כדי לזמן פיזית אנרגיית ריפוי עצומה. אני עשיתי כזה דבר בדרום אפריקה בעבר, וזה היה פשוט תהליך שאפשר להרגיש אותו פיזית, את האנרגיה הזאת שבאה ומנקה ומרפא, וגם ברמה פיזית וגם ברמה אנרגטית רגשית.
ולפי מה שהיא אמרה, אפשר גם לשלוח ריפוי, לא רק לרפא את עצמך, אלא גם לשלוח למישהו שחשוב לך.
לחלוטין. אז בעצם אנחנו מגיעים ואנחנו מרפאים לעצמנו את מה שאנחנו רוצים להביא לו ריפוי, אנחנו יכולים לבוא עם תפילות וברכות ריפוי לאנשים אחרים, ואנחנו גם כקבוצה ביחד נעשה איזשהו תהליך שממש לוקח כמו כדור אור ושולח אותו עם ריפוי למקום כלשהו שיעלה באותו יום, שאנחנו רוצים כולנו ביחד להרים בו את התדר ולהביא לשם ריפוי. אוקיי,
אז יש את זה, יש את ה-Empower Thyself, שתסבירי קצת בעברית ומתי זה מתקיים?
Empower Thyself יש לנו ביום, ב-22 וב-23 לחודש, ה-22 ושלישי, כן? זה יום שני ושלישי, בשבוע שמיד אחרי. נכון. זה קורס של יומיים, שבו אנחנו בעצם מקבלים כלים, כשמו כן הוא, העצם את עצמך, זה כלים גם לחזק את המערכת, להיזכר מי אני, וכשאני זוכרת מי אני, אז אני יכולה להופיע בעולם בצורה יותר מלאה, להתחבר לייעוד שלי, ללמה אני פה, וזה בעצם סדנה שנכנסים בה אחד ויוצאים בה משהו אחר, ואת בטח תוכלי להעיד קצת אורלי, אז זה כלים גם לחיזוק המערכת, גם לכלים של עזרה, לכלים של איך אני מבקשת ומקבלת ומזמנת עזרה, מה אני בנויה, ממה אני עשויה בגוף הפיזי הזה, מהו, למה אני כאן, לאן אני הולכת.
אני יכולה להגיד שכל הדברים האלה שככה כאן דיברנו עליהם בקצרה, כמו מי אנחנו באמת ומאיפה באנו ומה התפקיד שלנו פה, וכל הדברים האלה מקבלים הרבה מאוד הרחבה במסגרת היומיים האלה של הקורס, של הסדנה הזאת, מעבר לבאמת השינוי הזה של האנרגיה שלנו, שהיא לא מסודרת ולא מאוזנת, ועוברים שם ממש תהליך חניכה של איזון האנרגיה שלנו, כדי שאנחנו נוכל לפעול ממקום יותר טוב, אז כדאי גם להזכיר את זה.
לחלוטין, לחלוטין, זה ממש להיכנס בגוף אחד ולצאת אנרגטית, בן אדם אחר לגמרי, עם עוצמה ממש פיזית, הרבה יותר עצומה, ואפשר להרגיש את זה, אפשר לחוות את זה בחיים. אני יכולה להגיד לכם שבדרך כלל אני אוהבת להסתכל על דברים שנה אחר כך, ולהסתכל על החיים ועל מה קרה, זאת העצמה בכל רמת הוויה. אז הכלים של הידע שאנחנו מקבלים בסדנה הזאת, זה ידע שהולך ונפתח, זה כמו אנחנו נוטעים זרעים של ידע חדש, והוא הולך ובוקע עם הזמן, וככל שאנחנו מתקדמים בחיים, אנחנו פתאום מרגישים עוד שכבה, ועוד שכבה, ועוד שכבה, ווואו, לא ידעתי ואיך זה יכול להיות. וכמו שזה קורה, ככה גם אני עם עצמי, ודברים שאני לא ידעתי שיכולים להיות, וכשכל זה מתגלה, באמת הביטוי ביחד עם החניכה שמחזקת את כל הדבר הזה, אנחנו חיים של מי שאנחנו באמת, וזה רק הולך ומתעצם, וממשיך לעבוד איתנו כל החיים. זה תהליך חזק, עוצמתי, אתם מוזמנים. זה הדבר הזה. אחר כך...
יש גם את הקורסים של הגיאומטריה המקודשת, ברמה הראשונה ורמה שנייה.
נכון.
יש גם את, שזה אני השתתפתי ברמה אחת, אני יכולה להעיד שזה גם כלים מאוד מאוד עוצמתיים. מה עוד יש מעניין שאת רוצה לציין ככה, ממש יש לנו עוד 2-3 דקות?
יש לנו את 12 המינים, אז יש לנו 12 המינים שזה מדבר, זה קורס שמדבר ופותח לנו את העיניים לעוד מינים וישויות שחיות איתנו על פני האדמה. אנחנו חושבים על fairies, שזה פיות, אנחנו חושבים על שדונים, אנחנו חושבים על כל מיני דברים שאנחנו שומעים בהגדות כל החיים, שילדים רואים אותם והורים חושבים שהילדים משתגעו וצריך לשלוח אותם לפסיכולוג, ובעצם אנחנו מגלים שישנם כאלה שקיימים, וכשאנחנו יודעים על קיומם ויודעים את תפקידם, אנחנו גם יודעים מה תפקידנו כמי שחולק איתם את האדמה, ואיך בעצם אנחנו עובדים ביחד בצורה זו או אחרת. זה קורס מאוד מעניין, פותח עיניים. הדבר הכי משמעותי שקורה, קודם כל לקורס הזה אתם גם, זאת אומרת, את לא היית עדיין אורלי, אבל את מאוד מאוד מוזמנת להצטרף אלינו. לי זה שינה את החיים, אני כבר לא נמצאת בטבע באותה צורה שהייתי לפני. אני ערה לאנרגיה שנמצאת סביבי וגם משחקת איתה בצורה אחרת לגמרי. זה מאוד מעניין למי שפתוח לדברים האלה.
איפה אפשר לקבל עוד מידע? איך אפשר להגיע, להירשם?
אז עוד מידע, יש כמה דרכים. קודם כל אפשר להתקשר ל-0544-975-125, זה המשרד, שרל מנהלת אותו. אפשר להתקשר לשם, לקבל את כל המידע, 0544-975-125. בנוסף יש לנו את הפייסבוק שלנו, Modern Mystery School, Israel, באנגלית. יש שם גם את כל המידע. אפשר לגשת לאתר שלנו, modernmysteryschooil.com. גם שם יש את כל המידע, ולהישאר בקשר, אנחנו כל הזמן שולחים מידע וכל הזמן נמצאים. הדבר האחרון, אורלי, ברשותך, שאני רוצה לעדכן, אני לא יודעת אם עוד יש מקום, I'm not sure there is still place, אבל הדבר האחרון שכן עוד קורה, ויש סיכוי למצוא איזה מקום או שניים, זה healing שעושה מרטינה, שזה, קוראים לזה love activation, and maybe you want to close off by, I don't know, giving us a word about that. Orly, do we have one more minute, or?
We have the last 2 minutes, yes.
The last 2 minutes. So maybe that's a note to end on, if that's good. Because Martina is offering us this very, very exclusive special healing in Israel, and it's an opportunity to...
You mean a private session with her?
Absolutely. Are you still available for that?
Well, you're in charge, so I'm going to do whatever you tell me.
I'm not sure. We have to check that.
Okay, so Martina, last words from you. What is your message? If there were one message that you want to bring to here to the people who are listening to us here in Israel and in the world, what would it be? Live life awake. Okay, Shani, your message?
Love yourself, and so you can love others.
Great.
That love.
So, Martina, thank you very much for being with us.
Thank you so much for giving us this opportunity and for being so beautiful. Thank you.
And we're expecting you here in Israel for hugs and kisses. And
absolutely. Absolutely.
And Shani, last thing that you want to say to close and wrap this session?
I want to say that I am so looking forward for this upcoming program and really, really excited to have Martina join us, and really thankful to you for this beautiful time together. And just, you know, if anyone feels the heart calling, I would say just answer, just say yes. And then the universe will make the rest of the steps. And, you know, you may find yourself very, very surprised at how much more to you there is than you remember, which you will remember. So thank you for that.
So thank you very much, Shani Lehrer and Martina Rodok. We're ending this with this show, Practical Inspiration. I hope you got some inspiration and some tools, and we hope to see you here in Israel next week and in the next shows that we have here.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you.
Bye-bye. Shalom.
Bye-bye. Shalom.